So we have the Cricket World Cup and we have a new guest with us today, all on the next 45 minutes of cricket and other sport waffle on episode 19 of the Kingsgrove Sports Podcast. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time you're listening to this. Welcome back to the Kingsgrove Sports Podcast. As ever, to my right, Stuart Ailey. How are you, sir?
Morning, Charlie.
Good morning. In the corner, in the darkness, helping himself over there, Producer Nick.
Producer Nick, pressing buttons, running the show. Good morning.
Our new panellist. Now, he's so into cricket, you can't spell his name without MCG. It's Pat MacGregor.
Good work.
That was pretty clever,
Been
man.
working on that one for a while, have you?
Yeah.
No, I've been waiting for you to come on the show so I can use that.
Fantastic.
So before we hook into all the topics we're going to waffle about today, I'll give you the socials. Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport, still can't handle that plural, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. We're on YouTube, not YouTunes, iTunes, Spotify, and a whole bunch of other things which producer Nick will run you through
KSC
right now.
podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and I've learned, I had suggestions for other platforms. I'll probably start putting the RSS feed link in our YouTube subscription so that if you're using a podcast platform that allows you to upload your own with RSS feed, you can do that as well. So really countless platforms. If you're listening to podcasts, we're there, and if we're not there, then send us an email. Send us a message.
We'll
get there.
Special shout out to 2 years in a row running Umpire of the Year Simon Dodwell, who has recommended a particular platform for you to
That's actually
look out
what
for.
got me to look up the thing about the RSS feed. I looked into using that platform. I forget what it was.
So do I. Sorry,
forget what it
brothers.
was. Sorry about that. But looking into it, I think you can upload, you can add your own podcast with our RSS feed. So I'll start putting those in the YouTube description
Excellent.
because there's a demand for it.
Now, before we get into the topics, who are you?
I'm
What's-
Pat MacGregor, as you said.
All right, you are Pat MacGregor. Now, how long have you worked for Kingsgrove Sports? Do you play cricket? Do you play any other sports? What's your background? Tell us all about you, your life story.
Yeah, well.
Put you on the spot immediately.
Is this taking up the whole hour? Or?
You've got 2 minutes.
Basically, I'm the assistant manager at the Penrith store, on and off at the West Side store as well. Used to play cricket, used to play footy. Don't have time for it anymore.
But you still watch.
Very
Are you
actively.
Enjoying the World Cup at the moment?
Yeah, loving it. It's going good. Yeah, bit annoyed there's not like countries like Zimbabwe and Ireland, Scotland and stuff like that, but
Those
because
mini
it just
nations.
brings a bit of interest into it, I think. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And what's been the highlight for you so far out of what you've seen in the World Cup?
The Cottrell's catch. Was it
It was
Cottrell's?
handy.
You
yeah.
said Ben Stokes wrong.
Yeah.
I thought Cottrell's was better. I don't know.
No,
It's-
yeah, I reckon.
You're racist, you
Yeah,
are.
I reckon Cottrell's was
Oh,
better.
it's probably pretty level, but
Because to be honest, like Ben Stokes is capable of doing that. Even though like he sort of
Yeah.
made the he even said himself as a bit of a fluke. He got himself in the wrong position, but he's Ben Stokes. He can do this sort of stuff. Probably not expecting that from Sheldon Cottrell. Really.
Maybe not.
yeah.
Not really.
Okay, I'll take
just
that
the
point.
awareness. I
And
don't
they
know.
did say, actually, the England guy said that Stokes is practicing that
Yeah.
all the time, so
Yes.
it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. Well, Stu,
Yes,
we've just had a long weekend,
we have.
but we've not had so much cricket. A couple of games have been rained
A
off.
couple of games we watched it. Well,
Yeah.
we they did just sort of play it in England, and it is June, so it was always going to happen.
I don't
It's
think
always
it
gonna
matters
happen.
what time of year in England it's going to rain at
Yeah.
some
That's
point.
It's always going to happen. So, but look, the good news is South Africa's got a point.
Yes,
So
by virtue
they're
of not playing.
they're off the mark. Yeah,
Default.
game yesterday got washed out, which is probably lucky for them because they were 2 for 29 against the West Indies and probably going to lose it. Let's say. So they get a point. They go off the mark. They're above Afghanistan now. So
Obviously, England managed to bounce back from the disappointment of losing to Pakistan by beating Bangladesh. New Zealand are going strong as well. India v Australia, we might as well cover that one.
might as well.
Yeah. Again, I have to.
That man Kohli.
Well, Kohli, Darwin,
Shikhar Dhawan.
Well, look, we bowled poorly. I thought.
I think so. I think
The pitch was obviously pretty lifeless. It was a used pitch, and so it was pretty lifeless, and there was no real assistance for the bowlers, but we probably didn't bowl that well. I'm not happy with our bowling lineup, to be fair.
Same.
Look, I know Kudanol actually took a wicket, but
Just the one?
Just the one. I think he's probably now won for about 200, I think, now, in his 3 games. So, yeah, look, he got 92, which was handy for us because it probably got us the win over the West Indies.
Yeah, but he's there as a bowler.
But yeah, he's there as a bowler.
At the end of the day,
look, unfortunately, he's not taking wickets. Look, we have a world class spinner sitting on the sidelines. Should he be playing instead?
Does anyone actually know why Lyon is not in the lineup?
I think obviously it's because like Zampa's been our main spinner, recently, and he's been like the past 18 months. So to dump him and then bring Lyon in. But I'm just worried going forward. So we bet Afghanistan and we bet the West Indies. The West Indies are playing good cricket, and I'm enjoying watching them play. And they had they had us on toast, to be honest. At 5 for 50,
what a great phrase.
We were cooked. If it wasn't for a good innings from Steve Smith, and then that effort from Kudanal, we would have been in all sorts.
You mentioned Steve Smith there. One of the things I was going to bring up is how sort of under the radar Smith and Warner are going. Like, they're scoring runs quietly.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that. I don't know how under the radar is, because every time they touch the ball or whatever, they get booed. So then thereabouts. Look, they haven't done. Yeah, look, they're probably not doing anything like flashy. Like Warner's scored 2 half centuries, and they've probably been 2 of the slowest of his career. So he's not like he's going there. He's not scoring an 18-ball 50, or a 40-ball 100 or something. He's not. So he's not really drawing attention to himself. They're just getting on with the job and doing it for the team. So, so I'm worried about our bowling going forward. I don't think we can win the World Cup with that bowling lineup.
What changes would you make?
Well, someone needs to get injured so we can bring in Josh Hazlewood.
A little bit morbid, isn't it?
That would have been. Look, I think they missed a trick there, not bringing Josh in. No, look, he was probably underdone because he'd been injured and he wasn't fit, and they're trying to get him, making sure that he's going to be right for the Ashes. But
is he playing county cricket or something?
No,
like that at the
he'll be
moment?
over there for the A tour. So he'll be on the A tour, and he'll be over there bowling and getting ready for the Ashes tour. Look, I think maybe Kane Richardson might need to come in. I think Nathan Lyon has to play at some point.
Yeah, I'd maybe think about bringing Berendorf in for Coulter. I just thought Coulter was bowling way too short, and Berendorf did well against India over here, I thought.
Yeah.
So
Your next game is against Pakistan. Mm-hmm. It will be played at Taunton, which is my local ground. That's a relatively small ground.
It is.
Compared to the others.
Pretty tiny.
So, you basically need to have bowlers that aren't going to get hit.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a little bit quite economical. I just think Coulter he got smacked around way too much because he just bowled too short.
Yeah, just bowled short, and he's bowling at that right pace just to get belted.
And he'd get smacked, and he'd bowl at the exact same spot.
Yeah,
and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not offering anything.
So, I don't know why he's picked, to be honest.
So 2 weeks ago, when the World Cup was on the verge of starting, and you were fairly bullish about Australia's chances.
Yep.
How do you feel now after a few games of watching them?
I'm still confident because I think we're still batting well. So, despite India putting on 350 or something, we still made over 300 in the run chase, which wasn't too bad without anybody being overly exceptional, probably, really. Warner and Smith made runs, and then and Carey sort of got some runs at the end. So we can bat better, obviously. But anytime you can get 300 in a chase is pretty good. We bowl better. Look, to be honest, we might have been able to win that game. Carey did drop a catch, which would have helped us. Out. He dropped Pandya, and so you take that. We might save ourselves 30 or 40 runs, and all of a sudden, we could be talking about a close win. So I'm still pretty confident. We've got tougher games coming up, though. That's the thing, So we've obviously, we played India, so that's one tough game. Pakistan will be tough.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we still got to play England. We still got to play New Zealand. We still got to play, South Africa. Even though they're currently not playing that well, they're still a tough game. So
they'll turn up at some point.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this being your first show with us, we haven't had the benefit of your predictions and what you think is going to happen in the World Cup. So, just while you've got the chance here, just give us your breakdown of what you think might happen and who you back to win.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, it'll probably still the same now. I would have said Australia and India in the final. I thought Australia gonna win it. I still don't know if that's gonna be the case. And West Indies were my dark horse to win it. I thought they can, if they show up and they get a little bit of luck, they can take it all the way. Yeah.
So we've got 3 of your 4 semi-finalists. Who would you back to be the other beaten semi-finalist?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Who else is going to be in the semi-finals?
Oh, who else is going to be in semis?
Sorry, was my Queen's English too difficult for you? Your ears painted on, mate.
Well, probably England, just because of the home ground advantage, I'd say.
England, thank you. You've redeemed yourself. Well
So, so obviously, you, when I'm talking to you, Charlie, and when I'm referring to England, bounced back after losing to, perhaps a surprise loss to Pakistan.
Well, it was a surprise to me purely because we smashed them 4-0 in the games in the warm-up. And everyone had made England favourites, but I distinctly remember saying to you guys that we can pull a stupid defeat out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying that Pakistan was a stupid defeat. Pakistan played really well and they deserved their win. But that's what I mean about England. They will pull a loss out of nowhere. They're not the type of team like Australia have done in the past where they will dominate and win every game in a series or push to win every game. Now, England might well go and prove me wrong here by beating everyone that they play for the rest of the tournament.
Possibly.
And I hope they do, for obvious reasons. But that's why I have a little bit of apprehension when it comes to backing my country.
So obviously, good game against Bangladesh. Great knock from Jason Roy.
Mm-hmm. Some of those sixes he hit were just incredible.
Just melting them. So
it's just a lesson in power hitting. It was just stand and deliver and the bat speed. And
so are you confident about England's form currently after what you've seen? Despite their loss to Pakistan. No. Just you are pessimistic.
I'm English. I crave disappointment. It's what we do.
Wow.
Look, we're a bit of a joke nation for the rest of the world.
I mean, you've actually scored 300s.
Yeah, we've done well, and
Jofra Archer's
going really well. I still back Joe Root to be up there as one of the batsmen of the tournament. But like I said, as English, we crave disappointment. We're actually a joke nation to the rest of the world. You know, at the end of the news,
what does that mean? England a joke nation?
We are. I mean, at the end of the news in France, they go, "Et finalement, les Anglais, pa!" and leave it at that.
I'm not sure. I don't think they do that.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure they do.
I don't think they do. I
haven't really watched much French news.
Yeah. Not that I watch. I don't watch the French news. I don't watch the French news every night, but I don't think they do that. I think they've got other issues in their own country. What about yours?
Oh, they do, but we won't get into that.
Well, maybe after that fielding performance, they might have.
Well, I mean, I would have. Yeah,
I did.
That was pretty ordinary.
But no, I mean, being just purely because it's England and we invent all these sports, everyone naturally wants to beat us at them. So I just feel that everyone else raises their game against it.
Well,
hey, what are you complaining about over there?
What do you mean?
Here we go.
No, my favorite bit is the bit like, oh, it's football, it's not soccer, when the English invented the term.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with this.
You can't go anywhere with it.
I don't care. It's football.
Fact. It's a fact.
It's football.
All right, anyway, let's talk about something else.
But
Let's talk about something interesting. Let's talk about Zing Bales.
Okay.
Let's talk about Zing Bales and the fact that in this World Cup, the stumps have been hit 5 times, and the bales have not come off.
Yeah, that's true. Dave Warner won the other night. He was extremely lucky.
Yeah. Chris Gale the other night where Stuckey smashed it 150 and they didn't come off. What's going on?
There was one in the England game, first England game as well.
What's going on?
I don't know.
So the one with Water, like Donny came up and picked it up. He made sure the stump wasn't in too much. He said, "No, they're pretty loose." I don't know what's like. How are the balls getting hit or stumps getting hit and the ball's not coming off?
Maybe the grooves too much.
Are the LEDs creating too much weight in the stump?
No, they reckon that they weigh the same as a normal wooden bale. So
would the density or something, the material it's made of, cause it to maybe not be as maybe wood's got some spring in it or something.
Yeah, you don't see it happen very often. As you said,
it can sometimes. Apparently it happened. Apparently it also happened in the England women versus West Indies women the other day with like just normal bales.
But 5 times that's something.
That's like in a very short space of time. That's really unheard of.
Yeah, I think it was Quentin de Kock, wasn't it, in the first South Africa versus England where I can't remember who it was. Might have been Adil Rashid that hit the stumps and the lights flashed, but the bale just settled back down into the groove.
Well, with Warners, did the lights even flash?
I don't think. Yeah,
I don't think they did.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but I might just need to put a little spring in there, and it's just got to, But that seems weird that the stumps are getting hit and then the bales aren't falling off. Yeah, I don't know if you. You're looking at the rules now, Charlie, which could be different.
Well, I just wanted to check on something before I said it, and because I think I might be mistaken.
Because I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like are you talking about like if the bail lifts up?
If the bail lifts up out of the groove, is that technically out?
Is that technically out? Or no? I think
if it's both ends, because I think I've seen before one's come up,
comes up and then falls
down.
back down. Like, are you out for a second, but then you're not out? I don't know. So
yeah, and then you're back again.
Then you're back in. So yeah, look, it's. I mean, that's interesting. It's not something that I've seen a lot of. You see it like very like rarely, but then
the fact
not five in almost a week of cricket.
Yeah.
So, which is quite strange. Anyway, who do you think's playing? Do you think New Zealand are playing the best cricket at the moment, or have they just been lucky because of the draw, the teams that they've sort of played? Yeah. They've not necessarily played the strongest opponents. Well, they've got obviously tougher ones coming up at the back end of the tournament.
Yeah, like they've been playing well, but as you said, they haven't really played anyone too flash hot. And them and India are the only they're the only two that are undefeated, but they're playing each other next, and I reckon New Zealand will lose that. That'll be the test. If they can knock off India,
if
they knock off India, then that changes everything.
They're probably the favourites to win the tournament, really.
Yeah.
If they get beaten, then everyone just thinks, we thought that was going to happen. India's the form team. Yeah. India's the favourite for the tournament. So
it's a similar start to us. Like they haven't really had the hardest start to the tournament.
No.
It was the same as us until
India.
India. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. So obviously, some big games coming up. Who's England got next, Charlie?
I think it might be West Indies. Let's have a look.
So
England, West Indies on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. So Australia, Pakistan is tomorrow as we record this on the Tuesday. So that's games on the Wednesday. India v New Zealand on the Thursday, as you were just saying, and England, West Indies on Friday. And then a big weekend.
So we've got three. Well, there are three big games coming up.
Yeah, wow.
Aren't they? They'll sort of shape the tournament. I mean, if the West Indies can knock over England, then they're right in the mix.
I'd love to see if Afghanistan can beat South Africa. See how bad they're going.
Oh boy! Well, I can tell you if that happens, then there'll be all change at South African cricket once the tournament's done. What do we make of AB de Villiers coming out and saying that he made himself available to play in the World Cup? But they said, no, mate, we're right. Thanks.
I mean, if there's any truth to that, it's ridiculous. I mean,
I think that,
I mean, the form, just the class of that guy. I mean, I don't know how his form's been recently, but the class of him to come out. What the last World Cup here in Sydney, he bashed a 32 ball 100 or something.
Yeah, something against the West Indies. Yeah,
against the West Indies. Yeah, the guy can just change a game like that. I mean, he's. Why wouldn't he? He's a scratch golfer. He's good at every sport he plays.
He holds like underage records. But do you think he should have, if he wanted to play, that he should have at least made himself available like earlier, so that he could play some one-day games and he could play in the team rather than...
That's probably the defence that the South African management will say. But
I think that's what they went with. They said, look, we've been working on this team for 18 months or whatever, and we've...
But on the flip side of that, it's not like he's only just coming into the team. He played for them for several years, so they know him.
And it's AB de Villiers. It's not like it's someone
well,
else just putting his hand up.
As you said, he can just change the game. Like he could go put them from winless to favourites.
Yeah,
like just like that.
Well, I think that would have been certainly a much better side with him in it.
Yeah,
they've been unlucky, to be honest. So Dale Steyn been injured and having to go home.
That's a huge blow.
Puts a dent into them. That was unfortunate. So.
This would, in all likelihood, have been Staines' last World Cup.
Yeah, it would have been his last World Cup. Yeah, I mean it's a few blokes' last World Cup, and it may be their last World Cup because they're just not going to get picked again. But the way they're going, poor South Africa. Well, I mean that South Africa-Afghanistan game could be the wooden spoon game. It could be Hamish's. Kitchen utensil of ineptus.
You got it in there.
Yeah.
Kitchen utensil of ineptus.
We need to get him a wooden spoon for the podcast.
We do. We need to
just have one here all the time.
We need to give a wooden spoon.
Maybe he can bring one back from Vegas. Morning, Hamish.
I think he's in New York. He's in New York now.
Is he?
He can get one from New York. So they shouldn't be doing as bad as they are, but they are. So
yeah, I mean,
tough luck.
On paper, they've still got a good squad, and I remember saying that Rabada, I thought was going to go out there and carve up. Take wickets, but
hasn't happened yet.
No, he's been strangely anonymous.
Hey, I got a question. I'm looking at the standings right now for their World Cup, and there's a stat called net RR.
Yeah, net run rate.
Net run rate. Right. Can you explain to me what that Because it's in plus or minus.
So basically, the number of runs per over that you would score as a whole. So they'll have scored, let's say, 300 runs in 50 overs. Then what's my maths like? That's 6 and over.
Okay.
6.
Yeah, so your net run rate would be 6. So it's just obviously
it's
a
just
cumulative.
a ratio between... Yeah,
it's
I
a
gotcha.
cumulative.
So they work it out so that if
Yeah.
you end up on the same points, you go through on net run rate.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Efficient.
They try and make it as
They try and make it as...
uncomplicated as possible and fail miserably.
yeah.
Net run rate seems the fairest way of doing it. So
duck-
it
Oh,
encourages
that's what I
you-
meant. That
Duckworth
run
Lewis
rate
style.
basically equals
Yeah.
efficiency.
Yeah.
It's the efficiency of how many runs you get in an over.
Yeah, I mean
Correct.
the emphasis then there is on scoring runs quickly, which makes it entertaining for the crowds, which makes
Yeah.
people want to watch cricket.
Sure.
So that's probably why they choose net run rate as
It's a good
opposed.
stat. I like it.
Especially in small run chases.
Yeah.
Good stat.
Get them quick. And,
Hey, which one of us wants to try and explain Duckworth Lewis to our mate over there?
No.
Duckworth Lewis?
No. No,
Pat,
'cause now-
welcome to the show.
Hey, no,
Because now they've got, but now there's another bloke on the end of that too, because they've made another change. So there's another bloke on the end.
No,
of that.
I have read about that. That's incredibly complicated. In fact, I think the actual formula they use for that's still kind of a secret or something.
Yeah, in
right?
fact, us
It's
trying
not
to
publicly
explain
known.
it to you might make it more complicated. So
Probably. No, I've read about that.
Well, I couldn't.
I forget exactly what is it used for determining the winner when a game ends early or something like that, or
It's wet
Yeah.
weather,
No, it's
yeah.
for rain.
for
when-
rain
when you
that's
lose
right.
time
for
for
rain.
rain.
That's
so
right. That's
how many
right.
runs you got to get? And so it is.
if anyone has a nice and succinct way of explaining that for Nick, perhaps you can write into us using the
Please.
hashtag
Yeah.
producer. The hashtag
Hashtag producer Nick.
Hashtag
Is that a new
KSC.
thing now?
It is now.
Great.
We've stopped forgetting about you in the corner at the start of the show.
Now
We've
I've
given
got
you
to
your own
Never used
hashtag.
an hashtag.
Hashtag KSC podcast.
Yeah,
We'll get
that
that one in.
Yeah.
So back to the Australia-India game.
Yes.
I have added some. I've got
Viewer
a few
questions.
listener questions.
Yes,
We don't have to touch
I've
those
got
yet,
them.
but I've added some other notes maybe in that
Yep.
sheet. So if you've got
So
that handy,
I just
then
want
you have that stuff
to.
there.
That's what I was going to refer to, Nick. So
Oh,
thank
great.
you.
Stu
I
us
was
Stu us on top.
So obviously, wherever India play, there is a ginormous Indian presence, and you get they play a home. They play a home.
Ginormous.
Basically played a home game. But what did we think of Virat's effort to stop the crowd from booing Steve Smith?
Noble.
Very
noble.
Yeah, man, that's class act.
Yeah, it's
sportsmanship.
very classy from someone that's drawn the ire of Australian crowds as well over the years.
That's true.
Very noble thing to say, and especially something that we're pretty big on is the topic of mental health.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, these guys did something wrong. They've apologised. They've paid their dues. They're back in, and they're just trying to, get on with their careers and get on with their lives.
So to a point that you said, they're just doing it very quietly. They're not, sort of trying to bring attention to themselves. They're just getting on with the job and doing, playing cricket. They're not, and then obviously the crowd's taking it and running with it. I think, we've obviously got an example out here, the documentary that's out at the moment on Adam Goods and the fact that he got booed out of AFL. Now the AFL have come out and apologised. Better late than never from their part. But sometimes you think booing's not that much, but if it's relentless and it's all the time and everybody does it, then you think, oh, these blokes are sportsmen. They should be big and tough and be able to do it. And maybe they may not really be paying any attention to it because they're too caught up in playing the game or whatever. But
I mean, there might well be an element of truth to that. In that, it's professional sport. You got to expect that, but at the same time, they're human beings.
yes,
And as I mentioned a minute ago, mental health is such an important topic. And cricket, as we've explored in previous episodes, is so fragile at times around cricket. We've just got to be careful.
Yeah, well, there's heckling and then there's just booing every single time.
Yeah.
Out and out abuse.
I think
Yeah.
once you've done it once,
They're
like once it's
touching
done,
the
once
ball,
it's done
yeah.
once, it's like mate, it's done. Like
Well, I think like Kohli's comments, he seems to always be like that. Like he seems to be on the field. It's what happens on the field stays on the field. Like
Yeah.
he'll show that aggression on the field, but then off the field he'll be quite noble, as you said. And
Yeah. I think it was obviously a bit, good effort for him. He's he's a captain of the Indian team, so he holds a lot of power. Not just in cricket, but in Indian society in general. So it was, I think it was a nice thing for him to do. Not that they didn't seem to pay. I don't know if everybody paid too much attention to him because there was still a bit of booing. But now maybe that sort of come out. They may not. If we end up playing them in the semi-finals or the final, then they may not do it. Which is hopefully.
I mean, obviously the English crowd have been booing them.
Yeah.
Has it been pretty bad from the other nations as well, like India?
Not as much. I don't think. No, I don't think it's been as much. I think obviously, when like Warner and Smith will cop it when we play England. I think they're going to cop it through the Ashes because the Barme Army.
It's the Ashes.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean that probably might raise another interesting point. You know, you get the Barme Army and they have their songs, and you know it's all a bit of fun and games. But I think the 50th time you hear the song is probably a bit boring. And
yeah, I mean, when I first heard the Barme Army and first experienced them when I came over here in 06, 07, and obviously we were losing left, right, and centre in that season, so the songs were sort of the only bit of positive entertainment for us. But then, if you break down some of the words to it, and you think, well, that's verging on personal abuse, and the song, Shane Warne's song, and sort of mentioning about how at the same time he lost his hair, he also lost his wife, and I think that got to him.
Yeah,
and I think it's quite right that he was annoyed by that. I mean, when looking back, you look at that and think that's probably not the sort of thing you should be singing about. Sing about cricket indiscretions by all means, but don't take someone's personal life.
I think it could be a bit hard for Australia though to take a bit of the high horse on that.
Well,
on that front. I mean, you know, we obviously it's well documented about apparent, you know, use of sledging or whatever. I don't know if we quite gone that far, but
well documented.
I mean, that's a point as well. Is it's not just the Barme Army. You mentioned the Australian fans, and well, look, they gave it to Stuart Broad a couple of years ago for not walking, which they put on a sort of.
That's because he nicked at the first slip.
Yeah.
Well, you've admitted yourself, mate. You don't walk.
Yeah, but usually when I nick at the first slip, it's pretty obvious.
Well, from what I've heard, mate, you nearly nicked it to the leg slip. So,
hey, Kendall, we've been through that.
We have.
We've been through that.
But yeah.
Well, hey, look, if it's good enough for Stuart Broad,
It's good enough for Stuart Airley.
huh? if you're going to take that,
I get it. It's a Stuart thing.
no, no, not necessarily. But mate, if it's good enough, for a highly paid international cricketer, well then it must be good for the rest of us then.
Alrighty.
Isn't it?
Well, I won't push you any further on
Mate,
that.
There was a bloke standing at the other end with a can in his hand whose job it is to adjudicate. It's not my job.
But Stuart Broad should have walked.
Yeah, sure.
Reverberation there. Well, there you go. A bit of comedy genius from the KSC podcast there. Yeah. So where were we? Crowd abuse.
Crowd abuse. Yeah.
Nick's hosing himself in the corner there.
So funny, man.
Crowd abuse. I think we got that done and dusted. As long as it doesn't get personal.
Yeah.
You know, funny songs are funny songs, and we'll leave it at that.
Just don't sing it 50 times. Try and come up with
that's what I was going to say as well.
What's
is that
about?
they are still singing songs with the Barme Army that I heard when I first heard them in 2006.
New material, boys. New material.
Yeah.
Should we?
There are plenty of new songs coming for this series, I've been told. So.
Should we go for some viewer
I think
questions?
listener questions is the way to go. We've got a few. Australia need wickets in the first 10, says at Cameron Wenham 8.
I think that. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that of any nation, really.
Again.
Any team bowling has to get wickets in the first 10.
So I think
Depends on the opponent as well. Like someone like India, I think we needed to sort of dominate early, and because otherwise they'll get on top of us very quickly.
Put in a big partnership
Same
like they did.
Again, same as West Indies with Chris Gale. If you don't, if you don't dominate Chris Gale early, then
I guess
basically that question sort of says, to win the World Cup, you got to put you need to take wickets early, because then it puts the guys in the middle order under pressure because they're in earlier than they want to be. So you really want
I guess that sort of Cameron's question.
But also, I mean, that also helps our bowlers get the confidence. So you're thinking obviously, Mitch Stark would hopefully be taking a few wickets then, and if Mitch can take wickets earlier, he feels better. He gets into a better rhythm, and he bowls better. So
I think Cameron's question there sort of leads into another one, really. That do you back your bowlers to get those wickets in the first 10? Based on what you said earlier on, and who should come in and go out.
Well, I mean, we're not changing our opening bowling line. You're not changing Pat Cummins and Mitchell Stark.
They bowled pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, they're bowling well. I don't think they're bowling. They're not bowling badly. It's more it's the backup bowlers, you'd say, that put us under pressure when you've got guys like Kudinol, Stoinis, Zampa, Maxwell. To me that seems it's just a bit thin at the moment. So.
Well,
yeah. I think we'll go to Pat first for this one. Do you think the Windies have a chance of winning the World Cup?
Well, yeah.
From Ethan Rosetto.
Well, as I said, if they get a bit of luck and things go their way, they can do it. Because if Chris Gale can just get 100 off 20 balls, just like that. But You can also get out first
Not many
ball.
not many singles in that, but
No,
yeah.
definitely not. He's not running.
My
Yeah.
style of cricket. And I don't think it's just Chris Gale. I mean, you look at the bowling stocks with Cottrell as well.
Look, I mean, the bowling is getting better. The bowling was probably going to be their weak point, and the batting was going to be their strong point. We guys like Gale, but Shea Hope was in great form in the lead up games. Dre Russell, again he can come out and get, if they need 60 or 6, you can still back him in. Those small grounds. I mean, he can do. He's done that before, so they've got a good. Even like Jason Holder bats at 8. And he's a good cricketer. I mean, he scored a 50 against Australia. So, but their bowling is coming on really well. It's they've gone back to a bit old school. West Indies, they've gone with a bit of pace and fire and bouncing some guys and getting guys jumping around and being uncomfortable. Which
that's really good to see. I mean, that's part of what made West Indies so formidable in the late 80s and early 90s was those pace bowling stocks and tall, fast bowlers. Now, the reason I heard that they sort of went by the wayside to the late 90s and early 2000s is a lot of those tall guys saw there was a lot more money in basketball than there was in cricket.
Yeah.
So went off to play basketball
and did other things, but they've got some good bowlers. So
IPL and those 2020 tournaments and Caribbean Premier League has started sort of
to maybe revive West Indies cricket, which is good because that's what cricket needs. They've got to try and get Andre Russell through the tournament as best as they can. He's better probably in short spells and long spells. He's got a bad knee problem which he's got to manage. So. I saw Kemar Roach played last night, which is good for them.
Yeah.
He's a handy bowler, and if Cottrell can keep his form up, he's bowling well at the moment. So if he can, for the sake of West Indies, if he can keep saluting, then they'll be very happy.
So, in your opinion, do you think West Indies have a chance of winning the World Cup?
They've got a chance. It's a long chance. It's not. They're gonna need a few sides to fall over. But they're definitely with a good chance of making the semi-finals. Like Pat said, they're a smoky. They can
definitely
possibly sneak
smoky.
in.
Can you explain that phrase?
I don't know.
You're
I don't know where it
smoky.
comes. Smoky.
Does it come from Dark Horse or something?
Smoky chance. I don't know where that comes from, but yeah.
Well, because it's not a clear chance, it's a smoky
Yeah,
chance.
Hazy.
That makes
That's
sense.
why we got him on.
That's why we got him on. Yeah. So.
So hey,
I'd love to see him get in because that'd be great if they can make the semi-finals. That'd be huge.
So if it's only top 4 out of the round robin stage that make the semi-finals, West Indies right now is 5th.
Yep.
So if they do manage to make it into the top 4 for semi-finals, who do you reckon out of the top 4 currently is going to be the one that drops out? New Zealand, England, India, Australia.
I think New Zealand.
Well,
Currently undefeated?
Well, they've played Afghanistan and Bangladesh, was it?
Okay.
Sri Lanka.
Oh, Sri Lanka. Well, yeah.
And maybe Bangladesh.
And
Yeah.
Bangladesh. So they've won 3 from 3.
You're looking at not the strongest, not the strongest teams currently at the moment. Yeah.
Bottom nations really.
Okay.
So the table, I feel like the table doesn't really show.
no, not yet.
Yeah. The true picture at the moment.
Yeah, the true picture yet.
I've been saying from the start, I just got this funny feeling that India are going to disappoint.
Yeah.
However, the way they're playing at the moment would prove me very, very wrong.
Very wrong. Hoping for a lot of washouts with India.
Well, yeah.
Could be an upset.
Well, there we go. There's a factor that we might not have thought about. Is the weather going to play a part in who gets through and who doesn't?
I think it will. I think it will cost someone.
But it should get dry though, shouldn't it? As you go into the summer. But
in the last show, I did also say that South Africa would make the semis.
So
and given how they're going, I think I might swap them with India.
You've gone well.
Which does, I change my predictions every show in line with what's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
As for who may drop out to get West Indies in, it's too hard to tell.
Well, what you said earlier, England are going to disappoint and miss out. So
no, they'll get through to the semi-finals and then disappoint.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
Maybe even in the final.
Ultimate disappointment is what you blokes look for.
Well, that seems to be how my year's going. Tottenham get to the
I wasn't going to
Champions League
say
final.
it. That's a sore spot.
I was nice enough not to bring it up.
No, Stu's done very, very well. The
I'm going
highlight.
to bring it up later.
Yeah, let's not. Tottenham get to the final of the Champions League and lose. England got to the semi-finals of the Nations League, their football as well, and then lost to Holland in extra time.
You'll be right, man. You'll be right.
I'll get over it. Like I said, we just crave disappointment. Anyway, moving on. question number 3. Who, in your opinion, will win Player of the Tournament? Asks Thomas.Ferguson05.
Kohli.
Well, I mean, the way he batted the other night was obviously ridiculous. Just does it easy. So look, I mean, he's favourite. But whether you go with someone else, I mean, like Jason Roy keeps
That's true.
scoring, runs at the top. Ben Stokes keeps playing the way he's playing, and he's a chance of doing it as well. So,
Two England players.
Joe Root.
Joe Root,
Well, because I'm a walking, talking contradiction, and having said that England will disappoint, I'll still stick with Joe Root as my Player of the Tournament.
Well, he can still be the player of the tournament. You blokes can still disappoint. I mean,
Yeah.
you can still do that. Once you get to the final, it's okay.
Yeah, disappoint.
Should you
up
go with-
until the final?
There's another
Maybe.
question here. I think this is for you, Charlie. It's from a Pat Whips.
Hi, Pat.
Thoughts on wicket celebrations? Can Charlie give us an example of this?
No.
Example of his, it says.
Oh,
Specifically.
sorry. Do you have a specific
example?
No, I mean,
wicket
it's
celebration?
not really. I just shout
Fair enough.
yes very loud and probably pop a few veins out in the neck. It depends who I've got out.
So can you give us an
But
example?
I know why he's asked that. Because my bowling has gone so terrible that me getting a wicket in itself is an event these days. And the last wicket I got was against Roseville this year, and I managed to cartwheel off stump, which is
I thought you said you had managed to
That's
cartwheel.
what I thought. I was like, go for it.
Wow.
man.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
that's
an
an example of
This
his-
is a celebration.
An example of his wicket celebration.
yes,
Just
I
doesn't
did a
cartwheel.
cartwheel in
You
the
did a
follow-through.
cartwheel, I thought, yeah.
No, I managed to cartwheel off stump, and I think I just stood there and just shouted, "Ah!"
Oh, did the
with
old,
popping the neck. I think it's if you've seen that clip of
did the old Freddie Flintoff?
yeah, Freddie Flintoff when he got Callis out. I'll try and find the video for Nick so he
That
can
one, yeah.
visualise that. But thank you, Pat Wicks, for your question. Keep them coming.
After we shoot the podcast, I have to find clips, little still frames from the video to put as the YouTube thumbnail, and I think I've got one.
What did I do?
But you
You'll
just,
find out. You'll find out. So obviously we've got.
I don't think I can not use that. I think I have to use that.
So we've got Cottrell celebration, and he takes the wicket. He salutes because he's a member of the Jamaican Defence.
Oh, I thought he was just taking the mickey out of Ben Stokes.
No. He's a member of the Jamaican Defence Force. So he salutes his fellow soldiers back home. You've got the Imran Tahir who takes a wicket and then takes off, basically just runs
I don't
everywhere.
like that one.
It's an interesting one. I mean, you've had the old Brett Lee chainsaw
Brett Lee was good at it.
from back in the day.
Don't mind that one.
Definitely copied Brett Lee a little bit.
that's
As definitely. So those little heel kick as well.
I'm unashamed. I've mentioned it before that I unashamedly used to use woodworm gear just because of Freddie Flintoff. So probably the bowling celebrations would have reflected that as well. Sometimes just standing there.
Are there rules against excessive celebrations if
Yes.
you take a
Yes.
wicket, right?
Yes.
Don't give send-offs, which
Yeah, you
basically means
can't.
don't get in the batsman's face,
but
tell him
everyone
you've got
always
him out,
does.
and remind him where the pavilion is. That's not.
Yeah.
So is that it? Is it limited to just being like aggressive or direct?
Just don't,
Yeah,
don't be an idiot.
Or carry on
Don't touch
something,
the opposition. You can't go.
Yeah,
up there.
right.
Well, I think in that particular celebration that Pat's referring to that I did, I think I shouted "come on" and was looking at the batsman as I did it,
Right.
and the umpires actually had a word. We had to confirm
That's
that you
okay.
weren't
you had to
giving
be-
him a send
Oh,
off.
you had to be separated, did you?
No, not at all, because we were several metres away, and I was just so happy I got a wicket. It wasn't aimed at anyone, and the umpires had a chat just to check that it wasn't personal.
Yeah.
You just had to be
And they
looking,
said, no, that's fine.
You just had to be looking in the batsman's direction.
Well, I ask because, like in football, NFL less so, but NCAA football especially, there's penalties for excessive celebration, like after a touchdown. If you carry on too long, they'll penalize you in the
can
game
get,
for it.
Well, not in the game, but you can get fined. You can get fined.
Fined, right,
for
okay.
it, so.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
a good skit about that with Key and Peele.
It's
they
a
go
good
over
one.
the top. Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's so good.
With football, you do get a yellow card if you go into the crowd, or if you take off your
Okay.
shirt, or if you do anything to
Yeah.
incite
Okay.
the crowd. Which
Take off your shirt, it's yellow.
I think yellow and red cards.
I don't
are
think I
coming into
realized
cricket
that it was
soon.
a yellow for that.
Oh, possibly. Yeah.
Are they talking about bringing penalty cards into cricket
Mhm.
for the same type of thing?
Yeah,
Well,
sort of.
If
yeah.
Imran
Not
Tahir
so-
takes his shirt off and runs into the crowd,
Well, I'd
maybe,
imagine
but-
if you imagine a dirty slide tackle would also get you a.
that'd definitely get you straight red. I reckon.
To be fair,
Yeah.
though, unless you're taking a catch on the boundary or whenever a wicket falls, it's generally the furthest point away from the crowd.
So you're not going.
So there's not going to be
Yeah.
too many instances of running into the crowd.
Yeah.
But no, thank you very much for your questions, ladies and gentlemen, and keep them coming. Use that hashtag KSC podcast and through all the platforms. Jeez, I can't speak.
Platforms.
Platforms. platforms.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my own language and I can't master
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, you know, good with the Queen's English.
Yeah, I keep mispronunciating my worms again.
Actually, I might have a couple of more actually. If you guys want to chat a bit, I
Well,
feel like
well,
I got some through messaging.
Well, let's give out the socials again. We've
Yeah,
got
do that.
Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport, no plural, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. You remember these, Pat, because you'll be doing them next time. We've got that hashtag KSC podcast, KSC podcast. No, Stu knows them off by heart already. He set them. You set them up.
No, I didn't.
No?
No.
Didn't.
Oh.
Nah.
No,
I
man.
thought
They're
you
pretty
did.
complicated.
No, that
Producer
wasn't
Nick,
No, it wasn't me.
It's not like
Producer-
our name or anything, like-
Producer Nick, that's his work. That's not my
Oh,
work. That's not
right.
my work.
I
Producer Nick
produce.
in
I
the
produce is what I do.
Have we have we waffled enough to give you the time to find those?
No, I want to waffle about something. I want to waffle about something
no,
else.
let-
I
let-
want to
well,
because
Stu, take us a
because I
bit.
just want to remind the viewers and the listeners about the giveaway, the World Cup giveaway.
Excellent point, well made. Go ahead with that.
Yeah. Go for it.
So obviously, time is running out to enter the competition. To let us know who you think is going to win the World Cup. Obviously, thanks to Kookaburra, we're giving away a kit, so bat, pads, and gloves. You can check that out on the website at the moment. There's a banner you can go and click on. But yeah, if you go and enter the competition, you can be in the running to win that great prize. So all you got to do is just tell us who you think is going to win the World Cup.
That's it.
Pretty simple. That's it.
I don't know if I can't remember if you mentioned the URL, but it's just kingsgrovesports.com.au/giveaway, and you can enter to win. You pick your winner of the World Cup, and after the World Cup's over and there's a winner, we'll pick from the pool of people who chose the correct winner.
Yep.
Well, it's one entry, isn't it? Per
One
person.
entry per person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put in
You
your
put
email
your first
address.
name, your last name, and your email address, and obviously don't put an email address that you never check, otherwise you won't know if
Yeah,
you've
you
won.
won't.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
we
you
need
won't
to
know.
have an email address so we can reach you to let you know if you've won.
But entries are closing soon. Yeah.
And the kit, I think Stu mentioned it a minute ago, Kookaburra Ghost Pro 2000 kit. Very, very worthy prize.
Absolutely.
Now, do we need to waffle about something
No,
else?
there's a nice comment from our last on our last podcast on YouTube from an account called Peace Prevails. Just says love from a 16-year-old from India, and I hope peace and love prevails in the world. What a nice,
Oh,
what a nice
what a
sentiment.
nice-
Thanks
what
for
a
sharing
nice
that with
That's
us.
great.
Thank you. And we obviously we can't sort of also not pass without giving a shout out to Jack and Lynn Unitsis, who
Oh,
are
hey, look at
obviously
that.
watching.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hey, remembered your names.
You did.
Hope you're enjoying your son's fine handiwork here.
Speaking of Nick's family, my cousin actually sent in a question, and it's a pretty legit question. Like, there's two parts to it. One, how, in you guys' opinion, has producer Nick's improved on his cricket knowledge since joining the KSC podcast team?
Joining or starting?
Or starting, whatever you want to call it.
He didn't join it. He started it.
What's your opinion on how my cricket acumen has progressed?
Oh, it's expanding exponentially.
All right.
By the day, I would have thought.
By the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really have
today
much of a choice,
you've
really.
learnt what net run rate is.
I did.
Yeah.
I learned something new today.
Yeah.
You've learnt that the bails have to leave the stumps in order for you to be out bowled.
Yeah.
Correct.
Didn't quite learn Duckworth laws, but we'll get
But
there.
No,
Yeah.
but,
not quite.
but don't worry.
Baby steps.
But nobody really knows Duckworth Lewis, so
Exactly.
nobody knows how Duckworth Lewis.
Even Duckworth needed Lewis's help.
Exactly. And then they got someone else in, after they've done it. There's someone else. It's now 3 names. I can't remember the other bloke's name.
The other question that came, the other part of Corey's question is, he messaged me the other day because he caught a rugby game on TV. He lives in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm looking to start following rugby, so AFL or NRL, and why? Of course,
Oh,
I
hang
think
on.
in this crowd, NRL is going to be your...
Don't discount Union as well. There's another rugby code in there just
That's
to
true.
complicate things.
That's true.
Just to-
So there's
just to
AFL, NRL, rugby union. So what for somebody
Like
like
that
so
rugby
Corey
union.
Corey loves American football. That's probably the biggest sport he follows. He follows
Yeah.
all kinds of sports, but American football is going to be the big one.
Well, for the oval ball codes, I'm probably not the best. So
So
these two will.
the closest to American
Was
football
NRL.
is league.
Rugby league.
Because AFL is a completely different game.
Yeah, it really is.
360 degrees. It's like completely different.
I've watched
I mean,
a little bit
obviously
of
there
it.
is. I mean, there also is an American playing AFL in Mason Cox
Yeah.
playing for
Yeah.
Collingwood.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Collingwood, yeah.
if he wants to follow a fellow American, he can.
I don't know how
he can do
concerned
that.
he is with that.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, a game that's probably closest to NFL. Yeah, league would be the go. If he likes, blokes running and smashing each other, then
If we're
that'd be
going to choose teams for him to follow
Yeah.
as well, with rugby union, I'd go to the UK and pick Exeter Chiefs just because they're my local guys and they've won it quite a lot recently.
Sure.
So we'll go with that. Let's come back to Australia and we'll ask these two about NRL because I support Parramatta by proxy and that's no one's gain.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no.
poor you.
Well, I mean, we're both
I'm surrounded by tigers.
yeah, we're both just going to go for
Even
the
though we're lower
go
on
for
the
the,
ladder,
go for the
that's
West
okay.
Tigers, but mate, no, they're a good team. It's all
And AFL, well, Sydney Swans or Greater
right.
Western
Swans?
Sydney.
No, not the Giants.
Not the Giants.
Not the Giants.
No.
What about
Sorry,
Collingwood?
You get no. God, no.
Yeah, no one goes for Collingwood.
Apart from, look, I mean, I might let him go because there is
Yeah,
an
because
American playing it,
that's
and if he
okay.
wants to follow, that might be okay for him. But anybody else, no, you can't follow Collingwood.
You've got to have a good
You
reason.
cannot follow Collingwood.
Yeah.
Like
So-
you've got no teeth and taste.
Or you're from Melbourne. Thanks for insulting all of my cousins that live in Melbourne and support
That's-
Collingwood.
What's wrong with them? Why are they from?
Well,
Mate,
they
probably
grew up there,
Other,
mate.
Well, and State
That's
of
wrong,
Origin.
getting
really angry about
State of Origin's already underway, right? And we have the first
Yep.
State
Oh
of
yeah,
Origin game
support New
already?
South Wales.
Yeah,
Don't
support New
support the
South
Cane
Wales.
Toads.
Mhm.
So State of Origin
Yeah.
for Corey, if he's, well, I'll send him the link to this anyway. State of Origin is a yearly competition between New South Wales and Queensland that gets
Correct.
played every year. So as New South Welshians, I don't know what
New
do you
South
say?
Welsh men.
New South
Welshman.
Welshman.
Yeah.
I'm a New South Welshman now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We follow the NSW Blues every year to
That's right.
That's right. And
win the State of Origin.
I think I'm right in saying that in order to play for either of those two states, you have to have been born in that state. Is that
No.
correct?
No, I think
No.
there's some discussion about that,
No,
right?
Very-
it's where
it's
you
very
it's where you
vague.
play your is it where you play your first
Well, it can be either where you're born or where you
You
play
play
your first junior footy. So,
Yeah.
Greg Inglis was born in
New South
Kempsey,
Wales. Yeah.
but played for Queensland his whole career.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but Luke Keary, he might be getting picked for New South Wales, or he was going to if he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
He was born in Ipswich.
Yeah.
So, makes no sense.
I mean,
Which,
Queensland.
yeah,
Yeah,
so far.
I mean, also Queensland is a very big state. I mean, it
Yeah.
encompasses all of Australia. They will take players from anywhere.
So where did you say he
Even-
was
even
in
Papua New Guinea.
Ohio?
He's in Ohio, yeah.
So if
Oh,
he
he-
drove from Cincinnati to, let's say, Washington DC, he'd pass through several states. Now do
A
that.
couple, yeah.
Do that same drive in Queensland, and then do it again. You'd still be in Queensland.
Yeah, no, it's huge. No, and I find a lot of Australia's that way too. But especially the way the roads are laid out, like the difference in how long it takes you to drive somewhere versus fly somewhere is pretty different than what's average in the States. You can
Yeah.
get somewhere by car a lot quicker in the States overall.
Well, that's working in miles per hour. It does it for you. I still work in miles an hour if I can. It's kilometers. It just seems that the kilometers just pass by quicker. Anyway,
That's
we're
true.
digressing
That's true.
into something completely
Yeah.
weird. So AFL, Rugby League, and Rugby Union. Is it Corey?
Corey, yeah.
Corey,
I
we've got
think,
some teams for you there.
Just
think
follow them
Just
all.
follow the Tigers.
Just do them all.
It's okay.
Just follow them all. They're all good sports. They're just-
Yeah.
If
and
you
I'll-
had to pick one, I think rugby league would probably be what he's into the most.
Well, there you
I
go.
think.
Definitely don't listen to me then.
Go for
I
the
would
Tigers
think.
again.
Go for the Tigers.
Yeah.
Well, we got to wrap this up fairly soon.
I did want to
before
mention
we-
too. Sorry, I don't know if you had something else on the table here, but I wanted to mention that we got into a discussion about the Cricket 19 video game.
Yes.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was our buddy Dave, our manager over at Westside. I was talking with him and Pat about how you could apparently upload custom cricket bat labels on the PC version of the game, I believe. So Dave decided to reach out to the developer of the game, and so we got in contact with them. Those guys are really, really great over there. And so we've worked with them to send them all the official artwork for all the Kingsport bats for this upcoming season. So everything you see in the game is the new Kingsport bats. We don't actually even have them on the shelves yet.
Not yet.
But the new Kingsport, Immortal, Deadly, Noble Willow designs, all that stuff, all the new bats are now in game for all the sponsored players on Cricket 19. When I spoke to the developers last week, they'd already pushed a patch to PS4, and it was going to be moving to all the platforms very shortly, if not already. So that's really exciting.
And
looks really good.
Nick deserves a hell of a lot of credit for doing that, so well done. That's,
Oh, no,
that's
man,
really
that's
And
Dave. I got to
Well,
give Dave
and
prop
Dave
for that.
also, yeah.
No,
I meant
Oh,
the
you meant
artwork
the- you
for
meant
the
the
bats.
designs.
And the,
yeah, no, I'll take credit for that where
Hey,
that's
Dave.
due. But Dave, man,
Dave, well done for Nick's designs.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
no, he took a shot in reaching out to them, and he just did it.
Yeah.
And
That's the
so
sort of thing he
it's
does.
That's
a-
Dave.
It is.
It's really
Dave
cool.
just does things.
Straight up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right
Don't
up,
ask,
right
don't get. That's the moral here. And don't forget to ask your questions to us as well, and we'll give you some answers.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we have just touched on other sports, and I can't let a show go past without just quickly mentioning the Formula One, because that's
Yeah, there were
how
a couple
I roll.
things that happened in Formula One.
Yeah, we just had the Canadian Grand Prix. This is more. You're not into Formula One, really,
Not
are you?
really.
No. Okay. Well, this is
That's
just
okay.
sorry. This is just.
I
me
told
and
you
Stu
though,
thing.
man. Pat was saying, "What are we going to talk about tomorrow?" And I said, "Don't be surprised if Charlie."
All right, we got to wrap this up. It's gonna be a quick
We'll get it
conversation,
through
so-
quickly. So Lewis Hamilton did win in Canada, but not without controversy. It was a Ferrari-dominated race,
Yes.
and well, let's be honest, weekend.
Yes.
What happened, Stu?
So Sebastian Vettel was leading the race. He sort of lost control. Hamilton was close behind chasing him. Vettel sort of lost control, went off the track a little bit, ran on the grass and came back on and sort of came back in front of Lewis Hamilton. The stewards thought that was not right, and so they gave him a 5-second penalty, which ended up basically means that even though Sebastian crossed the line first, he ended up coming second, which Sebastian took not very well. If you look it up, he didn't take it very well at all. He was quite upset, and look, in my opinion, rightly so. Mm-hmm. I thought you've got to have something. People say that motor racing is pretty boring anyway. They just cars go around in circles, whatever. And, so when something slightly interesting happens, and then you get penalised for it, it's sort of it takes away from the show. They're all, the people that run Formula One now are trying to make it more entertaining, more interesting, and so Sebastian went off the track. It wasn't that bad. You've got to understand these things can happen in motor racing, and so it was a bit. It left left a bad taste in Sebastian's mouth. It left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So it was a bit unfortunate because it just gave Lewis Hamilton another victory. Yeah, meant Mercedes won another race. So in the overall championship sort of thing, it's not great. I could guarantee you that Lewis Hamilton would have blown up. The spoilt brat he is if it was the other way around.
Well, absolutely.
100%.
See, the thing is, I'm sort of 50-50 on it, and obviously I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan. I want Lewis to win. However, I think the penalty was correct. However, I'm really upset about it as well because it ruined the race, effectively.
If he hit him?
Now, it basically, with Sebastian Vettel, the way he came back onto the track, okay, he's been on the grass, he's got no grip, he's oversteering, and then he's got... It
had nothing to do with Lewis Hamilton. He was trying not to hit the wall.
Yeah, exactly right. So Lewis had to take avoiding action to avoid going into the wall and taking him out. Now, by the letter of the law, the way that Vettel came on was dangerous. Yeah, it deserved a penalty. However, you're taking away the magic of motor racing by doing that sort of thing. Exactly. Now, Vettel's saying, what could I do? I didn't have control of the car. Well, slow down, and you would have had control of the car. And basically...
I think he probably was slowing down.
If he hadn't have come on the track in that fashion... Lewis would have got by anyway because of that mistake.
I don't know how. I don't know how you wanted to come back on the track, but I mean, because it's not like it took him half an hour to get back on the track. Like this is it happened. It was very fast. Anyway, let's talk. We'll end the F1 conversation on a good note with Daniel Ricciardo scoring some good points. He had a good.
We will, but let me get out. We're
moving. We're done.
No, get it out. What is
turn his mic off a minute.
I could actually.
So yes, I'm upset with the penalty because I think it ruined what should have been the race result. Vettel should have won. Hamilton didn't want to win in that way. We talk about people being booed earlier on. Lewis got booed on the podium.
Lewis would take it. No, he didn't get booed on the podium. Lewis would take a win any way he can get it.
Yeah, but he did get booed on the podium. The crowd booed him, and even Vettel said, "Look, I hope they're not booing Lewis. I hope they're booing the stewards that made this stupid decision." Now, the highlight of the weekend for me was after the race when Vettel was understandably upset, not bothering to park his car where the top three usually park it, taking the number 1 sign from in front of Lewis Hamilton's car, putting it in the empty gap where his car should have been, and putting the number 2 in front of Lewis's.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, that's the end of the Formula 1 topic. Lewis Hamilton won. What else have we got, producer Nick?
That's it, man. It's time to wrap it up. I'm gonna start playing us out here.
Alrighty. Thank you very much for joining us, Pat.
No worries. Thank you.
Welcome, Pat.
For having me.
No worries. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you, producer Nick.
Anytime, man.
And Stu, let's go and get yourself a coffee to calm down.
I'm good. I'm not even a Vettel fan.
Still going.
Well done, Daniel Ricciardo. See you guys.
Thanks for listening.